Let me know when you see the little recording button on your screen.
Okay. Yeah, I see it.
All right, let's go, man. Do you still agree to the consent and the release of this podcast?
Absolutely.
Nice.
Didn't read any of it, but
Yeah. All right.
I trust you.
Yeah. So let's start with
I told you I was going to show you my mug, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So there's the mug.
I see the ears. Is that like Gizmo back there? What is that?
No, it's a
unicorn.
It's a unicorn mug. Yeah.
Okay. It looks like Gizmo with those ears and the feet.
Right. It's my wife's mug.
Nice,
it's the only mug we have here that I can drink coffee out of. Otherwise, all my other mugs are at my studio. So.
Oh, okay. All right, brother. Hey, I got mine. Let's start it up.
Salud.
Salud. Welcome back, listeners. I have the man, the newly black belted Robert Torres. Welcome back to the show, man.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's a pleasure being here, man. I really appreciate you having me on again for a second time.
It's
pretty awesome.
It is, man. And I enjoy our conversations. You asked a question just before we started recording. You remember the question? It was, I believe, what would you do if you were starting up a martial arts studio right now?
Yeah. It was funny. I was talking with one of my friends and mentors, Chris Casamassa. If you guys don't know about him, he's a world champion karate fighter. He's also he's had the pleasure to be in a bunch of movies, and including Batman and Mortal Kombat. And I don't know if you guys remember WMAC Masters. That was I don't know.
That was like one of those fighting series that lasted a little while, right? Is that the one
it was pretty cool.
with where the mat was sort of slanted? Was it?
Yeah, something like that. I vaguely remember the mat being slanted, but yeah, he was in that, and so we were talking because he's really active in the martial arts business industry and stuff like that. And I was bending his ear earlier today, and we were talking about I was sharing my story, and he shared his story and how he got into the martial arts, and we were talking about what would someone do if they wanted to start their own martial arts business today. So we both chimed in. There was a bunch of stuff, but we were dropping bombs, and man, he basically start the exact way I started. So it's two ways. You either have money or you don't have money.
Yeah.
So if you don't have money, you got to find money. So whether it's through a line of credit, or you borrow money from friends and family who want to invest in your business, something like that. You can start at a YMCA or at like a boys and girls club, or something like that. But one of the main things that he had mentioned was that not every black belt can teach.
Right.
And that is huge, because you could be a world champion fighter, and not be able to teach someone how to do a punch correctly. So not everybody can teach. Let's put it that way. So you got to be able to teach, and to be able to teach, you have to have good mentors behind you, someone that you can follow, someone you can kind of emulate your teaching style after. So there's that. And then we talked about it's never too late. Like you can start saving up money and hold on to that money and just save up money until you have the right amount of money, and then start, because even if you start at the age of 40, you still have like 30, 40 more years to teach and put into it. So he quoted Gary Vee, where Gary Vee said, life is long, right? So I don't know if you guys follow Gary Vee, but Gary Vee is like a social influencer, and he started a wine library and took it to like millions of dollars, and now has his own company.
Wow.
Up on the East Coast of New York. He's a Jets fan too, by the way.
So he suffers. He likes to suffer. All right.
Yeah, we all like the suffering. And then let's see. I was taking some notes. The thing about it is you have to know what you're worth too. He mentioned that, know what you're worth, because a lot of people are like, well, what do I charge for martial arts lessons? And even to this day, like I know people who are charging like under $100 a month for martial arts lessons. And I'm like, how do you feed your family?
Right.
You know, you can't live off of $100 a month for, for martial arts lessons. So um
Not if you live in SoCal.
some yeah, definitely, definitely, man. Rent is like a house payment here,
Yeah.
you know? Um, so yeah, it was a great chat, and we talked about, different ideas and things, and it just kind of like brought me back to how I was coming up, and how I was able to start off my studio. And it's good information, especially now. Um, because in about 6 to 8, I'd say in about 8 months to a year, it's going to take you to grow your business. I think by then we should be out of this, catastrophe and into some kind of normalcy, but
God
you never
willing.
know. You know what I mean? Yeah, I'm my lips to God's ears, right?
Yeah,
So we'll
man.
see. We'll see. Yeah, and that was it. But one of the quotes that I wrote down that he had said was, because we were talking about luck and how I got lucky finding my studio space,
Hmm.
and it was in like a great location, and it was like the perfect setup. And he was like, luck is when preparation meets opportunity.
Mm. Yeah, definitely.
You
I
know,
always love the quote, the luckiest guy, like when I played sports, I played a lot of team sports. And it was always like, the luckiest guy is the guy who works the hardest.
mm,
And look at Tom Brady. I mean, if you watch him play, he gets lucky on stuff, but he also
yeah,
prepares
man,
like a son of a bee. You know what I mean? That guy is
yeah, oh
serious
yeah,
about what he does, his craft.
yeah, he is, and that's what it comes down to, like preparation. That means putting in the work, putting in the time on the mats, putting in the time in your business, in your studio, putting the time to research and study and work out and hitting the gym and doing all the things that it takes to be successful, and then taking advantage of the opportunity when it presents itself.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So that's not mine. That's his. That's Chris Casmas. So you want to
That's
ask him
kind of
more about
the
that, you got to hit him up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's kind of the beauty of martial arts, of combat sports, because there will be opportunities,
Yeah,
opportunities to succeed, opportunity to fail. Floyd Mayweather, I don't know what a lot of people have deep feelings about Floyd Mayweather. I rather like the guy, but he has a famous quote that, I win fights because at the end of the fight, I made the fewest mistakes. And that's an opportunity, goes both ways, right? You could see an opportunity and you could succeed. You could, let's say boxing, score a good punch, or you could miss and get countered, or whatever it is. I mean, it's what you do with the opportunity, and I think that's where the preparation comes in. If you're well
yeah,
prepared and you take the opportunity, I think you increase your chances for success.
right. Yeah, I tell everybody who's young, like anybody who I'm talking to, coaching or mentoring, is like, you got to be a sponge. Just be a sponge. Soak in as much experience and as much information as you can, and when when it's time to turn it up and put all that experience to work and to good use, then you do it, and all that experience and all your knowledge will back up your performance. So yeah, I wholeheartedly believe in the fact that martial arts and a martial arts studio is a microcosm of life. Um, the path to black belt is in my opinion the path to black belt is your success system, because you start where you're like fresh and blank. When you walk into the studio, you walked in there because you had it in your mind already, right?
Mhm.
You had it in your mind. So you had it already set. And the goal was, okay, I'm going to go in because I'm interested in this, or I'm going to go in because I want to be a black belt. And you go in and they give you a white belt. They don't give you a black belt, they give
No,
you a white belt.
doesn't work that way.
Right. They give you a white belt, but you have these mini goals in between. So, like, to be successful, no matter what level of success you want to call it being a multimillionaire, or do you want to call it like just being successful in your own job? You start off with your mindset first, and what's happening in your mind and what you want to achieve. And then that's in your mind and it stays in your mind. It's like driving by the studio and going, oh wow, there's that jujitsu school again. Oh wow, there's that jujitsu school again. And then you just
Right.
finally walk in there and you make a commitment. And that's what it's about. It's about making a commitment. So not only do you have it in your mind, but you go, you know what, I'm going to do this. And you do it, you write it down and make it purposeful. And you work on it every day, and you work on your craft every day, or you go to jiu-jitsu and you go train and you hit the bags or whatever it is, you go every day and you put in the work like we were talking about. And it's a grind and it works, and it's hard, but in the end, it's the success is what you achieve at the end. And even then, speaking from experience, even then, it's not over because there's so much more to learn, you know? So
For
there's
me,
more about that coming out. So I'll let you know about that later.
yeah,
I got more stuff coming up. So
awesome. That grind though, man, I think that's the beauty of it, because if you remember the Matrix, or when Agent Smith was talking to Morpheus, he had him chained up. It's like, the first Matrix we made life easy for you guys, so you guys would be happy. You know what I mean? It was like a heaven, and human beings rejected. I think there's something about that struggle, suffering, a grind, all that type of thing that makes you want to move.
yeah, it's the
If
same
you
reason
came,
why everybody loves the underdog.
yeah, I mean, if you like you said too, to go back, if you came in and just gave you a black belt, what's that black belt worth, man? You know what I mean? What did you really gain from that? Like,
Yeah,
there has to be some sort of struggle, something about the human experience it's synonymous with struggle.
yeah, yeah. We thrive from what is it, that personal, that that
Perseverance, or
that yeah, we thrive from adversity.
yes,
That's the word. Adversity. We thrive. It's like, how do you make a diamond? With pressure, right?
exactly.
Pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah. I'm going to go back to something you said earlier, like, because the question we started with, and I'm going to lead into the big topic that I really want to get into, which is the
Yeah,
state of martial arts today. But I think the business aspect is related. There, you can't separate them. So you said, and you were talking to your mentor, that a lot of guys, could be a black belt, could be a world champion, but may not be a teacher, right? And I'm sure
right.
you've heard the saying, those that can do, those that can't teach. So there's being able to perform at a competitive level, there's being able to teach. But I think there's a third aspect we should probably talk about, which is you could be a good teacher, but maybe you're not a good businessman. Because I've seen that too, where guys, you kind of
Yeah,
hinted towards it, like when you were saying, well, how much are
yeah,
you charging for this? You know what I mean? Like, if you don't have the right space that's paying the right amount of money, um, there's so many things, like advertisement. Like, you could be the best teacher, but if nobody knows where you are or how to
right.
get to your school, there's just so many other things to it.
Yeah, yeah, man. So with that, I mean, like, I think that world champions can teach, and I think that if you like what you said, if you those that can't teach, I don't think that's true, because I
I think
certainly
some
can.
people, there's some that can, yeah,
you
definitely. There's
know
some that can,
and
sure.
and I know there's that few, that 1% that gives martial arts a bad name, like the martial artist who's extremely overweight, who preaches people to lose weight and get better and get in better shape, and and all their students are kicking over their heads, but this guy can't kick over his knees, like that kind of thing. So yeah, there's that 1% that makes us look bad, but but I think that anything's possible if you're open-minded enough and willing to learn. And that's the problem. I think the problem lies in, are you willing to do what it takes to learn what you have to do, or to seek out advice from people who are doing better than you or who are doing it now? And are you going to take action and put those skills into place and what you learn into place? So that's why I believe, like, if you don't have a coach or a mentor, like just like preparing for a tournament, like, preparing for a tournament, you get private lessons
Yeah.
You get private lessons with black belts. You go to class every day. You're asking questions. You're how do I
Yeah.
improve this position? How do I improve that position? What other submission can I
Yeah.
do?
You
Or,
need a support system, I think
like,
is what you're saying.
yeah. But not just that, if you're not willing to get out there and ask the questions, or if you're not willing to put into place the things that the advice that they give you, you're just
Right.
wasting your time. When it comes to, like, knowing the business, I think that comes with experience. I think the best person, and this is how I kind of came up too. So when I was first when I first started karate, I was just a kid. I didn't know my ass from my elbow. But then I got into martial arts again when I was around 11 years old, and my instructor was like, "Hey, I need some help around the dojo. Do you want to come in early and help me out?" I was like, "Yes, sir." So we'd come in and vacuum, and back then there was no mats, it was just carpet. So I would vacuum the
Wow.
carpets, I would clean, and learn, like,
I remember that.
do the dirty,
Yeah. Yeah.
do the dirty, and the dirty work. But then eventually I learned how to sign people up, how to enroll people, how to do introductory lessons.
So you got
um
to watch that part
you
of it.
know
Yeah.
yeah, and I came up front firsthand with that. So that was a huge help to me, because when it was time for me to run my own studio, I already had that background. And that's what I'm talking about, preparation, you
Hmm.
know. And then when the opportunity came for me to open up my studio, I was prepared enough so that okay, now I can therefore be successful. There was a lot of things that I didn't know, like, um, getting the space and renting the space and all that stuff. I went in blind, and I didn't learn that until later on when I got, like, business coaching and help
Yeah.
doing that. So the thing is, you have to be open-minded. You want to improve yourself in any way, you got to be open-minded to reach out to
Yeah.
people who can help you, because people, they're not going to come to you. You got to
Right.
seek out the information.
Right.
So yeah, I think a lot of people are, when they first start, they just don't think about the expenses. They don't think about the rent, the triple net, the cost of doing business. Like, if someone who's running a studio right now, if I was going to give you advice and what to look at, um, I would say, figure out how much it costs to open your doors every day.
Right.
If you're not willing to do that, then close your doors right now. You need to be able to. The numbers don't lie.
Hmm.
You know, numbers don't lie. You could have 100 students, each paying you $60 a month. In California, you won't have a successful business. You won't have a successful studio, right? Um, Maybe somewhere else you might, but
Yeah.
not here.
Yeah.
But know your numbers. That's
You
important. A
gotta
lot of
do
people
it.
forget
Yeah.
about that, and that's the business aspect of it. Like, look, we all love martial arts. I love
Right.
I love teaching it. I love training. I love every aspect of it. And the stuff I don't love so much is the business,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's the purpose of keeping it. It's the whole thing that keeps everything together. It keeps the whole
Yeah.
studio together. It keeps your students coming in, and the marketing and the advertising and the this and the that.
I love that. I
Like,
love
bro,
that.
just
Yeah.
get me on the mat. Just get me on the mat.
Yeah.
Put me on the mat and I'm good. But the business aspect. So a lot of that stuff I had to learn. I had to
Yeah.
seek out coaching and advice from that. So um, luckily, I had a good instructor, and I was lucky enough to have a good instructor to teach me a lot of what I had already known, and I'm constantly seeking out new information, and I'm constantly asking questions of my mentors all the time, of things that I can do and things that I can do to help not just myself but my students, primarily my students, because everything I'm doing at the studio is for them. You know, whether it's the schedule, whether it's upgraded programs, whether it's should we get different color uniforms, you know. So everything is about them, and you got to keep the student first.
So I'm glad that what we're talking about is martial arts, and that word art is what I want to focus on. There's no art, whether it's painting, movies, music. There's none of it that works that takes people to that higher level that business is not involved, or capitalism, because we live in America. Like it's a part of it. Like if you're a great actor, there's people on the business end, on the marketing end, who are getting you out there. You know what I mean? So people now know you as a as a great actor or a musician or whatever. And you could be so focused and so caught up. I mean, I'm sure you've heard this struggle. Like artists, they're always arguing with the business people, right? The business people want you to do it one way, and the artist wants to do it another way. And if you do it purely for the art, your art might be better, but you getting exposure will probably suffer. And if you did art just for the business, your art's gonna suffer. And now people don't want to listen or watch like what you're doing. And I love that sort of, you know, how we all have two minds, sort of more artistic, more analytic mind, you know, and a
Yeah.
lot of the big businesses are structured that way. If you look at football, right? Like the coach, hey, you coach. The GM, hey, you GM. You know what I mean? Like, it's
Yeah.
very hard to find people who are good at both things. And I guess I would say that the best situation, you have a team of people, like you have a guys who handle your marketing. I mean, you're still overall in charge, right? But you have someone who dedicates their time to these other things so that you could dedicate your time to like what you like to do.
Right.
That makes sense?
Yeah. Yeah. No, I totally. At first, yeah, you're your own man. So you're the janitor, you're the instructor, you're the marketer, you're the advertiser, you're the website designer,
Secretary.
you're the guy who handles your social media, you're everything. And even to this day, like I'm that too. You know, I still look over certain things, and I look over like my marketing and my advertising and you know, my Instagram, social media. That's all me. You know, like all that stuff. But the goal, right, is to get all that either outsourced or have someone do that for you, so you can focus on the things that you
Yeah.
love to do.
At a certain
Right.
level, you have to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think in and this is something we talked about too, is that if you don't if you're doing it for the money,
Yeah.
you know, it's not it you know, it's not good if you're doing it just for the money. You know, there's got to be more behind it, you know, and you got to be doing it for the art. You got to be doing it for the benefit of your community. You got to be doing it for the people that you can have a positive influence on. You know, if you're doing it for the money, it's not it's it's going to show,
Hmm.
and people are going to know that you're in what's the word? You're not genuine, right?
Right.
And that's what it's about. It's, you know, it's like you got to be 100%, you know, for the art and for the benefits of what you're doing for your community, for yourself, and put that first, you know.
Yeah.
And then everything else, yeah, you got to pay attention to. Yeah, you got to worry about the marketing. Yeah, you got to worry about, you know, getting new people or you know, advertising and the business aspect and all that stuff. Yeah, you cannot put that aside, because if obviously if you want to grow and you want things to get better, um, for you, you want your art to be able to impact more people, then you have to deal with it. I mean, the Gracies did it when they introduced the jiu-jitsu to the world, you know.
Yes.
um, yeah, they could have stayed small and stayed in Brazil and had a kick-ass Brazilian jiu-jitsu in
Uh-huh.
Brazil, and
Right.
it could have stayed in Brazil. But how many people, how many lives has jiu-jitsu changed
Wow.
because they got into they started the UFC and came to the United States with it, right?
Yeah.
So if you know, you can have the best martial art and make it your art and your thing, or you can have
Right.
the best whatever, right? But if nobody knows about it,
Yeah. Definitely,
so
brother.
hand in hand, you know what I mean? You got to have them both. You got to be able to know both the business aspect and be willing to make sacrifices because of the art in spite of yourself.
That's a perfect transition into the main topic, man, to the state of martial arts today. Because if I was a historian right now, right, I would honestly, you know, and I have my own biases because me and you know, we love the sport, we love the art. But if I was, let's just say, pretend, right? This hat is a historian hat. I'm an historian right now, and I'm studying the
All right.
21st century, right?
Welcome to the 21st
Let's
century.
do 21st century. So I mean, it's only been 21 years, or we just started, yeah, 21 years. So in the 21st century. So let's just say, like, I don't see how you're doing writing a book about the 21st century, and you're talking about impactful moments, the explosion of Gracie Jiu Jitsu, the explosion of mixed martial arts, UFC, has to be a part of that. It's a world changing thing. Because you and I are old enough to remember where there was none of that. Nobody was talking about that. The closest you got were dudes who were wrestlers, and wrestlers were always talking shit. Wrestlers were always, I'll fuck this guy. I don't give a fuck that punch. I'll take him down. And we were kind of like, yeah, whatever, dude. Bruce Lee will fucking roundhouse kick you. You know what I'm saying? Nobody listened to the wrestlers. We thought they were like, thought they were weird dudes who oiled themselves up and wore leotards. Yeah, the ears always messed up.
They love grabbing up on each other.
Yeah. I don't want none of that, bro. I'm cool, man. I got a girlfriend, man. But they got over that hump. They honestly, what they've accomplished is one of the most influential things. I don't know that many things that have been world changers, and that's to me a world changer.
Yeah, in martial arts, I think, I totally agree. It's changed. It's turned the martial arts upside down from the 70s and the 80s, and then in the 90s we introduced jiu-jitsu, and it just went, it just completely was like, oh shoot. But now you're starting to see a resurgence of the traditional martial arts, right? So now you're starting to see the fighters that have that traditional martial arts background, but like myself have studied Brazilian jiu-jitsu and wrestling, and Muay Thai, and have implemented all that into what we're currently doing. And so now you're starting to see that morphosis, right?
Yes. That it's always changing. The game is always changing. Yeah,
absolutely. And Bruce, when people say that, I refer to Bruce Lee when he says there is no other fighting style. The only time the fighting style changes is when you introduce another arm or another leg or another head. Then and when Bruce Lee said that, I was like, that's pretty dope.
He studied philosophy, man. He was a smart dude.
Yeah, I know. So I think about that when you mentioned the changing of martial arts, but I think, absolutely, martial arts has definitely flipped upside down, and has morphed into something that's so amazing, because now you have the change, but now you also have the resurgence of the traditional martial arts. Like, there's fighters that are traditional karate, but they're also great at jiu-jitsu, and they're great at Muay Thai, and they're great in the clinch, and they're great,
right.
So yeah, you start to see these karate fighters coming up in the top 10, and Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, like that sidekick, the way he fights is exactly how I fight. Nice. If you watch him fight, that's exactly how I would fight if I was in the UFC. Because
I stole from you, man.
I'm a karate guy.
Sue him.
I'm a karate guy. Nah, he can keep the glory. I'm not getting in that cage, not unless I got to fight for it.
Right.
But so yeah, I agree. I think the current state of martial arts, I mean, I know you mentioned that. I think,
what does that mean to you? Yeah. Like, it's open-ended, man.
To me as an industry, I look at it from the martial arts industry, like the business aspect and that, because that's my main thing.
Right.
And last year it took a lot of us out. Like, a lot of martial arts studios that I know are no longer, because they weren't practicing like good business habits. They were just, the money that comes in, they pay their bills and they take the money out of the account. There was no profit.
There was no contingency plan, emergency plan,
Yeah. Nobody was prepared. I wasn't prepared. I'll admit it. Nobody was prepared for this. Right. It was like, what?
You couldn't see it
coming. I gotta close my
coming.
studio down for 2 weeks. And you're like, okay, I'll close my studio down for 2 weeks. So you close for 2 weeks. Then it's like a month. And then it's like 3 months. And then you're like, well, we don't know when we're going to come back, And so you see everybody scrambling. But those of us who were prepared already had an online presence.
Right.
We already had an online library. We already had YouTube already was set up.
There's some sort of noise in the background,
virtual
brother.
Classes.
Can you hear that?
Yeah, that's my dog. Yeah, she's squeaking.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. But yeah, they weren't prepared. I think it's hit us pretty hard as far as as an industry. But we're really poised to come out of this a lot better than when we were coming in, because now it forced people to adapt
Mm-hmm.
and to do the things that they should have been doing pre-COVID. You know, so now, yeah, now there's the virtual classes, and there's, you know, there's people are preparing more for financially through their business, and they're doing things differently. So
So
instead of having like
yeah. Okay, finish, man.
instead of having like people come in and signing agreements on paper and like exchanging hands, and
Right.
now
All
it's like,
electronically.
now it's all virtual, all
Yeah.
electronic on your
Yeah.
phone. Download this app, do this, do that. And those people who had apps were prepared. Those people who didn't,
Yeah.
either had to adapt and were forced to change, or just faded away. So
Yeah, man.
um, you know, I'm hoping that the industry can, at least the people who are ready, who are now ready and realize that things need to change, do, and they
Yeah.
seek out the help to do that.
Yeah. Is that, I mean, is it as good? You know what I mean? Like business wise, let's just say. I mean, I'm sure it's supplementing. You're getting some money doing that, but is it the same as
I,
what it was before?
I think it depends. It really depends, because some places are more open than others.
Mhm.
Locations and that. Um, I have a friend who's has a studio, and pre-COVID, he wasn't doing good. Now
Uh-huh.
he's doing amazing. You know,
Right. Yeah, yeah.
so it just depends on the type of things you're doing. Are you advertising? Are you marketing? Are you meeting the needs of your community?
Right.
How
That's a
strong is
good
your
one.
footprint in your community? You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
that kind of stuff. So, like and a lot of it, I swear to you, it's advertising, man. I
Yeah.
changed up my website, and now we're getting leads all the time. There's certain things that you can do to help improve your how many leads you get, and then how many leads you get, and then the way you how do I say it, your introductory lesson program, right? How you structure that, and how you present your program. It's all a factor, man. All these little things help. You gotta know what you're doing, and if you don't know what you're doing, seek out advice, seek out some help. So I don't think the martial arts industry is going anywhere. I think we're going to be here forever, but I think those people who aren't willing to make the change are not going to be around.
Survival of the fittest, man. It's Darwin.
Yeah, I don't necessarily. I mean, I agree with survival of the fittest. I think it has to do more with survival of the person who is willing to adapt and change will survive.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, that's what
you
fitness
gotta you
is.
gotta be able.
The fitness
Yeah,
is being able to do it. Yeah.
fittest. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I guess, yeah, you gotta do it. Just do it. Make it happen.
So once the explosion happened, right, and mixed martial arts, BJJ, that had to affect a lot of traditional taekwondo, uh, karate, and I know personally a lot of guys resisted it for a while, but then some did like what you're saying. They adapted, and what they would do is they would have an instructor, a BJJ instructor, come to their karate school and teach a class there. You have any experience with that? Well, I know you went and learned,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. I don't think the explosion of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the United States affected or impacted traditional martial arts at all. I
no,
know
wow.
that the adult in the adults, what is it, the adult area, I think adults more gravitated toward Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. Um, but for kids, I think traditional martial arts has been like number one,
Okay.
because in history, the traditional martial arts have been known for like the discipline and focus,
Right.
respect, and attitude, and all that stuff, and that's all that um, all that goes to help shape the future child. But um, in my opinion, I think that if you just stick with traditional martial arts, yes, you're going to learn throws, but you're going to learn throws from a form. or from just traditional practice, not actionable practice, right? Like in
Okay,
Brazilian jiu-jitsu,
right.
you're rolling,
Yeah.
right? So, you know,
We get that resistance
in
in there. Yeah.
karate, right? In karate, you're striking and in and out and punching and striking each other, but like it depends on what competition you're in. Can you grab the person? Can you not grab the person?
Yeah.
Can you kick to the groin? Can you not kick to the groin? Can you punch in the face or can you not punch in the face? Right? Can you throw or not throw? Right? So it just depends. But I don't think at first it probably did. People were like, "Whoa, I want to try that." But I think the traditional martial arts will always be around. You know,
Right.
it's all encompassing.
But
You know,
what
it
I've seen
has.
is a blending though. I haven't seen too many places that are just strictly the one art, or that haven't been influenced from MMA or BJJ. And some maybe there are still a few, but I mean we're old enough to remember that there were just whatever art you were in, that was it, man. You didn't even
Yeah.
acknowledge really other
Right.
arts. You know what I mean?
Any other art, right? You're like,
Yeah.
judo? No.
Yeah. We'll kill those
But no,
guys.
I
We'll
get it.
squash
No.
them. Yeah.
And then they grab you.
Yeah. Exactly.
But
Yes.
no, I know for a fact there's traditional martial arts schools out there that are just teaching traditional martial arts. Um, like just a karate school, just a
Uh-huh.
Shotokan school. You know, they're very successful. Because they have a following, they have that niche and everybody knows them for that, right? Um, that doesn't go to say, like you were saying before, that they're not open to having other martial arts instructors come in and teach
Right.
under their umbrella, right? So yeah, I've have seen that, and I have experienced that, and within the martial arts area, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I
No.
think it's a good thing because you have to give your students exposure to that. Because either they're gonna experience it in the studio or they're gonna experience it on the street.
Right. And you want them
So
prepared
they
for
have
that.
to have, yeah, they have to have experience on it, man. Like the first time I got mounted, I was like, "What is this?"
It's an illegal move. What are you doing?
Yeah, like what is this? So I was like, I've never been mounted before in my life, and then learning to escape and all that
Yeah.
stuff. That's just a whole nother journey. So that's why I was like, I need to learn this,
Yeah.
and I need to teach it to my students.
So let's talk about striking, because karate is primarily a striking sport. Um, you know, I remember people arguing about that. It was a big thing because your hand is a very fragile thing.
Oh,
And I
my hands
remember
is a lethal weapon.
even like the what is the insole of your foot, like I've always heard like those aren't good places to, if you're gonna kick somebody, don't use the insole of your foot, use your shin like they do in Muay Thai. That's much harder. Or I met
Right.
martial art guys, a couple of kung fu guys somewhere up in Harlem. They were saying, oh, these guys were you remember the Guardian Angels from New York
Yeah.
City?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were kind of like into
I know what
martial
you're
arts.
talking about.
And I remember them saying, like, do the, what is it, like the hammer or
Hammer
the
fist.
elbow? Like they were saying, like, yeah, you could punch a guy, you could be effective, man. We've all seen it, but you also have a high
Right.
risk of breaking your hand or your
Damaging your
foot or
hand.
something.
Yep.
Yeah. Where do you
Open
stand
hand
on all that?
strikes, hammer
Open, yeah,
fists,
yeah. The
elbows,
this part, what do
palm
you call that?
strikes, palm heel
Yeah, yeah,
strikes,
yeah.
palm heel.
That's hard.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Are you into
Yeah.
that? What's your stance on all that?
I still teach the traditional punch, like a
Uh-huh.
reverse punch, punching with the
Right.
front two knuckles.
Right.
I think it's good. I don't see why people can't train and be able to use the technique effectively.
Mm-hmm.
If somebody's on the street for pure self-defense, and I took one self-defense class and I have to defend myself in the street, or if I'm teaching a self-defense class,
Right.
I'm not going to teach them how to punch. I'm going to teach them how to strike with the hand, or teach them an elbow.
Why
And
is
I'm going
that?
to teach them either close or far, because they don't know how to punch,
Okay.
right? Okay. If you see an old tradition, like OG traditional, or even some new guys, you go to Okinawa and you look at their fists and look at their hands,
Yeah, yeah.
they're all calloused. Why are they all
Ah.
calloused? Because they're punching on a daily basis, right? People on the street, you, me, somebody else, that, they're not punching on a constant basis. They're not hitting the makawara. They're not doing knuckle push-ups. they're not training themselves correctly. So of course they're going to break their hands. You know, I saw a guy, he came into the dojo, and he had his pinky knuckle, and it was back here.
That happened to me.
I was like, what happened? Oh, I got angry and I punched a wall.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So
I punched the van.
punched a
I was
wall.
aiming at a guy, but he moved and I punched the van.
Yeah. Punch right.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can, it's the constant training, you know, it's the preparation. It's the preparation for the event, because it's not if, it's when, you know, in my opinion. It's not if something happens, it's when something happens. And you just got to train for it. You got to be prepared. And the same thing with the hands. So if you're punching and you're punching correctly and you're punching a makawara every day, or not even doing it, but you're hitting the bags and you're working the bags really hard, you know, like boxers don't hit makawaras, they hit training bags, they wear gloves,
the mitts and stuff. Yeah.
but they won't punch you with an open hand, they'll punch you with a closed fist.
Yeah.
Because that's what they train.
Right.
So they're constantly trained in that, and they're going to punch you right. So you're going to get knocked out. Right.
Right.
So, you know, it comes down to training. You know, are you going to break your hand if you punch with a closed hand? Yeah. If you don't know what you're doing.
Okay.
Right. Right. Like when you go on the field and you're doing you're shooting at a rifle range, right? And somebody brand new comes on the range, you're not gonna give them a high caliber weapon, right?
Give them 50
cal. You're gonna start them off with a 22. You know, all right. You're gonna teach them proper position and all this stuff so they can shoot right and hit their target. Well, it's the same thing. You know, you have to train first.
All right. Yeah. So your stance is that if you're well trained on it, the likelihood of you hurting your hand or foot or whatever is less likely.
You're less likely to hurt yourself if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, I gotta agree with that. You brought up something interesting though when you're talking about the two knuckles, right? Because there's a lot of controversy on that. There's a lot of people who believe that it's actually not these two knuckles, but actually the center two knuckles. I think Joe Louis was a big proponent of that. And then I heard GSP talking about that you actually get more power. I don't know. I've tried both. I'm not very good at either one. What's your opinion? Are you traditional, the two, I guess, inside knuckles or whatever you would call those?
Yeah, the front two knuckles.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I teach kids, I go, I teach them with the front two knuckles because they're the biggest and the strongest, right? So we want to teach proper form with the punch, and that's how I've always learned, and that's how I've always punched. I've always punched with the front two knuckles. I haven't heard of people punching with the center two. I don't know. It's something I've never tried, and I think it would be fun to kind of like try and do that. That would be pretty cool.
With it.
Next board break though, when I break, I'm a videotape it. I'll send it over to you, and I'll break with the middle two knuckles and see how that works out.
Yeah, man. I'll post it on here, man. So
yeah, it'll be fun.
Keeping on with our topic of the state of martial arts today, one thing I've noticed as I've watched this journey is the grind of mixed martial arts, because those guys are working out like 6-8 hours a day. You know, they're doing Muay Thai in the morning, they're lifting weights, they're jogging, then they're doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and then they're doing, judo. Like it's a grind. What I've noticed that comes with that is recovery and different techniques that people are doing. That people are doing saunas, people are doing the cold water baths, all kinds of things, man. What do you do for recovery? You got any advice on that?
Oh man, I don't really do any cold baths. Here's what I do, and this is what I did pre-COVID. I went to a spa every Sunday, and that was my way to not just unwind for the week, but to kind of just relax my muscles and get refreshed for the.
Is that a massage too, or just sitting in the sauna?
Massage.
Oh,
so
yeah.
It was
great.
It was I would do the three things. So I would hit the sauna, hit the steam room, hit the cold shower. I'd do that 3 times.
Okay.
Chill out, and then get my massage, and I do it again 3 times in a row.
Wow.
Then
how long are you doing it? How long are you in the sauna or the shower? Blah, blah,
I'm there if you include the massage, the 60-minute massage, I'm there like 2-3 hours. So
I'm saying like you rotate. Are you
By the
doing
time,
like 5 minutes sauna, 5 minute steam room?
yeah,
Okay, something like that. Okay.
and then like a 30-second or 10-second cold shower.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm doing it like a bunch of times. So I'm doing it like 3 times, and then I go for my massage. And I'll relax. I'll read a book, and then hit it again. But that was my routine on a Sunday. And I never did like the cold, like bath where you get in the ice.
In the ice,
I'm
yeah.
just I'm not fighting for a living. You know what I
Right.
mean?
You're not
So
grinding like they are grinding, right?
no, I'm grinding, but in a different way.
Yeah.
Um, and those guys, I mean, they have professional like like health and fitness
Right.
experts with them on a consistent basis. You know what I mean? Like those guys get paid to be with them 24 hours a day,
Mhm.
watching what they're eating. It's like a racehorse.
Right. Yeah.
Racehorses have
Yeah. It's a
have
good
that.
analogy.
And you gotta train the horse. You gotta feed the horse right. You gotta take care of the horse. You know what I mean? Like it's the same thing. And so the different strategies, they're all awesome. I'd love to do like train with like a fighter for a week. That would
Yeah.
be fun just for the experience.
Yeah.
I remember when Professor Crane first opened in Burbank in 2011, 2010, 2010, 2010, 2011. Um, I was training with some of the guys in their MMA class, and man, I just had such an appreciation for what they're going through. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Because yeah, you grind and you're like in there with them, and you're throwing punches while you're grappling. It's like
Yeah. Yeah.
holy cow. It's an awakening, but it makes you appreciate it more,
Yeah.
and it makes you go, man, these guys are like they're putting in the work,
Yeah.
you know, and it's good, and I love and appreciate it. I love the sport so much.
It is the
It's great, but
appreciation, man. I could never disrespect it. I know a lot of people who told me, hey, you're pretty good at this. Why don't you go compete or do this tournament? I'm like, um, I appreciate the sport. I respect the sport so much that I wouldn't disrespect it by that because I know I'm not gonna put that effort into it, dude. If I'm
yeah,
training
yep,
3 hours a week and I'm gonna step in there with a guy who's doing like 20 hours, I'm disrespecting the sport, man. Even if I
yeah,
win by some chance, let's just say I'm better than this guy. It's like that's no, man. If I'm not gonna put the effort in the right way, I'm just not gonna
right,
do it, man.
yeah, yeah. You're gonna do something that's better, that challenges you, but that you feel good about. You know, I get that. I'm the same way. I want to do something that, like, I'll do it and I'll try it. Like I said, I'll train like a fighter for a
Right,
week,
just train.
or
Yeah,
even a
yeah.
month. Just do it, just to do it. I'm not gonna do it so that I can get into there so that I can be a champion, because that's
Right,
not what my end goal is. My end
right,
goal is not to be a world kickboxing champion or a world MMA champion.
right.
Like, that's not what I want to do. But if it was, then we'd be having a different conversation altogether.
Mm,
So, as far as like training and recovery, um, it's like for me, it's like a once a week, and it's like a download, you know,
yeah.
it's like a
So to
download
reset the
so that I can
batteries or
just,
whatever.
yeah. So, but now post COVID, it's like, uh,
Yeah.
or during COVID, it's like, all right. So now it's just, I
What
gotta,
about what about
I gotta
stretching,
relax.
man, or yoga?
Stretching is good. I wish I could go to a yoga class right now. Like, I wish Core Power was open, man. So, because I love the
Oh
heated
yeah,
yoga.
yeah.
I love it. It's so good.
That's like 2 for 1
Um,
right there. Sauna and yoga. Yeah.
Bro, it's amazing. And I just love it. My favorite part of the class is when they come around, they like wave that towel over you, the
Yeah.
eucalyptus towel.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, thank you, God. But it's so great. Yoga is amazing. I would take classes. I would take classes if the studio was open. I can go into a studio and train train you do yoga like we used to, but now it's like I can't do yoga without it being like without I have to be sweating like crazy. Like I need that crazy sweating yoga. I can't do yoga in my living room or anything like that. It's been this whole thing we need to get back to it,
All right, last
so we
question,
can all
brother.
get back to our
Where do
regular
you see
lives.
martial arts in just say 20 years from now? Just put on your Swami hat.
Man, it's a good question. Well, in 20 years, where are we going to be? What year is it going to be in 20 years? We're going to be at
Let's say,
2041.
yeah, let's say 2041. Yeah.
Wow.
So we're a lot older. We're senior citizens.
Yeah, man. So I think I think you're going to see a lot of what we're seeing now. I don't think the traditional martial arts are going to go away. I think we're
No.
always going to have that.
Yeah.
You know, we're still going to have the traditional karate. We're still going to have the judo. We're still going to have those individual arts too, and we're going to have MMA. I don't think any of that will change. I think outside of the martial arts is going to change more than the
What do you
the
mean? Yeah.
framework of the martial arts. So like I just think like our lifestyle will change. And
More
um
healthy or
yeah, I think we're gonna, because this pandemic has really brought to light the way we take care of each other, or the way we take care of ourselves. And we're gonna be more conscious of that. And I think the main thing, and if this comes out, I want if somebody comes up with this, just give me credit. Just put
okay.
my name on it.
Yeah.
Um, virtual VR martial arts. So if you want a martial arts lesson,
Hmm.
you can virtual reality your instructor into your own living room.
Yeah. I think you're right
So
about that, dude.
I think
Yeah.
that that will be the next step. And it may not be like where you're grappling with them, because obviously that's not going to work. But VR martial arts instruction, I think that will be the next
I think you're a
explosion.
100% right, man. Did you see that
So
Black Mirror episode where the guys get into like the kung fu game and they're like total VR?
yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. I'm like that's the future, man. You know, and I feel like if we're going to be changing in any way, I think that the virtual reality. I don't think we're going to be there where you can feel every punch.
Right.
Maybe,
It'll
but
take a time, not 20 years probably, but some form
yeah,
of VR is
it'll
going to
take
be
some time.
accepted. Yeah. I think
Yeah,
that's happening everywhere, man. I think that's where people in power of technology are heading towards. You know, like we're going to be experiencing and doing a lot more things virtually than actual.
yeah,
And that's a big conversation I've been having on my podcast with people, which is what is reality. And I think that for people like us, especially people born, let's say, before us, the question of reality wasn't really a big question. Everyone had the same concept of reality. I think starting from us and moving forward, what is reality is like a hot topic. People can't, you know, if I played baseball back in the 80s and I hit a home run, that euphoric feeling was my reward, right?
hmm,
And I think a kid playing a video game now is getting that same reward that I got. And I'm like, but you're not doing the same thing that I'm doing. Like, what? Oh, I
no,
did. You know what I mean? So I
yeah,
really
yeah,
don't know
yeah,
what reality is anymore. And I think we're changing. That is really changing. Because if you look at social media, if you don't see something post in social media, it's almost like it didn't happen.
yeah. Yeah, I think people nowadays are just taking, I mean, I'm talking like an old man, but like now in today's day and age, like even with bullying, like before you had to walk up to somebody's face and bully them
Yeah.
to their
Yeah. That
face.
kills
You
me.
know,
Yeah.
now
Yeah.
you got these
You're
keyboard
hiding
quarterbacks
behind
is
it.
what they're calling
Yeah.
them.
Oh my God. Yeah. You got
Yeah.
those keyboard
So
muscles.
yeah, and then you meet this guy in person and they're nothing, but yet
So
your mind is so delicate that you're
yeah.
like, oh, I'm so scared of this person now because he talks so much
Well,
trash about me online.
it's not
So
just
it's
that they
the
live
two
in that
realities, I
world.
think.
Yeah, that virtual world is more important to them than reality. Like where for us, let's just say we had that computer stuff back then, right?
Yeah,
And a bully wrote something on the internet bullying you. When you went to school, they would make fun of you or the bully. Like, why didn't you say it to that person's face? He's right there. Yo, you a
yeah, he's
punk.
right there. Say
Yeah.
it.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean? And that's why when I
yeah,
heard about
yeah,
cyberbullying, I'm like, my
yeah,
brain cannot wrap around this.
yeah,
How is he the bully and this guy, you know,
yeah,
taking the receiving and like, this guy is the punk. He's the sissy. Like,
yeah.
you wrote it down on your keyboard safe at home and said this thing. Like, say it to his face. It's not
Right.
real if you don't
Yeah,
say it to his face. But to them,
exactly.
reality is flipped. It's almost more
I'm with you.
real if you say it. That's what I meant by like if you don't hear about it on social media, it's almost like it didn't happen.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, it's nuts. I'm optimistic about the future of martial arts. I think things can only get better. You know, I think the pandemic has really had a huge effect, good or bad, on certain people, and you're either going to ride the wave or you're not. And when you do, it will take you to great heights.
Yeah.
And I think that the future of martial arts has only is is bright. I think we've got a lot to look forward to. So
I think one of the
yeah,
only consistent things is life, besides that you're going to die, is that things are going to change. So you can stay stuck in your ways if you want, but it doesn't matter, man. Life's going to keep moving
yeah,
without you doing it. It's going to
yeah.
change.
Yeah, I got a saying from my instructor, and it says, "We don't change, we improve.
We improve. I like that.
We don't make changes. We always make improvements." So that's what we have to look forward to is improvement.
Awesome. All right, Rob, let's stop the video right there, brother. Thank you.
All right, thank you.